welcome to our program, Doctor. And today I am continuing the second part of diabetes mellitus. Coming to the complications of diabetes, all forms of diabetes may increase the risk of long-term complications. These typically develop after many years. Usually after 10 to 20 years, the complications may develop. The major long-term complications relate to damage to blood vessels, and diabetes doubles the risk of cardiovascular disease. It can also cause coronary artery diseases like angina and myocardial infarction, and it may also cause stroke and peripheral vascular disease. And about 75% of the deaths in diabetics are due to coronary artery diseases. And diabetes also damages the capillaries, which can lead to microangiopathy. Next, coming to the diabetic retinopathy, which affects the blood vessel formation in the retina of the eye, which may lead to visual symptoms including reduced vision and potentially blindness may occur. Next, coming to the diabetic nephropathy, that means involvement of the kidneys, which can lead to changes in the kidney tissue, and also there is a loss of small amounts or progressively larger amounts of the protein in the urine, and eventually chronic kidney diseases may occur which requiring dialysis. Coming to the diabetic neuropathy, the impact of diabetes on the nervous system can cause tingling, numbness and pain in the feet, which can lead to diabetic foot. So diabetic foot results directly from the diabetes or long-term complications due to diabetes, and presence of several characteristic diabetic foot pathologies collectively known as diabetic foot syndrome. And the most serious complications of foot in diabetes are ulceration, infection which can cause gangrene of the foot, and neuropathic osteoarthropathy. And these factors often associated with foot trauma or foot deformity, which can lead to increased risk of lower limb amputation. And people with diabetes are 25 times more likely to lose a leg than people without diabetes. And foot problems are more common in diabetics because of their increased risk of peripheral neuropathy and peripheral vascular diseases, abnormal pressure on the foot, and impaired resistance to infection. And proximal diabetic neuropathy may cause painful muscle wasting and also weakness. Coming to the causes of diabetes mellitus. First one is type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is partly inherited, triggered by certain types of infections, for example Coxsackie B4 virus infection, a genetic element associated with HLA genotypes. And the onset of type 1 diabetes is not related to lifestyle. Coming to the type 2 diabetes, this is primarily due to lifestyle factors and also genetics. And a number of lifestyle factors are responsible for type 2 diabetes. These are obesity, lack of physical activity, poor diet and stress, and consumption of more sugar, saturated fats and trans fatty acids may increase the risk, and eating lot of white rice also increases the risk. And I am giving the list of other causes of diabetes. Coming to the pathophysiology of diabetes. Insulin is the primary hormone that regulates the uptake of glucose from the blood into the other host cells. primarily muscles and fat cells. Therefore, deficiency of insulin or insensitivity of its receptor plays a major role for the all forms of diabetes. And humans are capable of digesting some carbohydrates and converting them into simpler forms. For example, monosaccharide glucose, the principal carbohydrate energy source used by the body, and insulin is released into the body by the beta cells of the islets of the Langerhans of the pancreas. And insulin is used by about 2/3 of the body's cells to absorb glucose from the blood for use as a fuel, for conversion to other needed molecules, or for storage. And insulin is also the principal signal for the conversion of glucose into glycogen for internal storage in the muscle and liver cells. If the amount of insulin available is insufficient, and if cells poorly respond to the effects of insulin, or if the insulin itself is defective, then glucose will not be absorbed properly by the body cells, nor will it be stored appropriately in the liver and muscle cells. The net effect is persistent high levels of blood glucose, poor protein synthesis, and also other metabolic derangements such as acidosis. And this is about pathophysiology of diabetes. Next, coming to the diagnosis of diabetes. Diabetes is characterized by recurrent or persistent hyperglycemia, and this is diagnosed by demonstrating any one of the following. First point, fasting plasma glucose level more than or equal 7 millimoles per liter or 126 milligrams per deciliter. And second point, plasma glucose more than or equal 11.1 millimoles per liter or 200 milligrams per deciliter 2 hours after a 75 grams oral glucose load, as in the glucose tolerance test. And third point, symptoms of hyperglycemia and also casual plasma glucose level more than or equal 11.1 millimoles per liter or 200 milligrams per deciliter. And fourth point, glycated hemoglobin more than or equal 6.5%. In these 4 points, any point can consider the diagnosis of diabetes. And a positive result in the absence of unequivocal hyperglycemia should be confirmed by the repeat of any one of the following methods on a different day. And according to current definition, 2 fasting glucose measurements above 126 milligrams per deciliter is considered diagnostic for diabetes. Coming to the prevention, there is no known preventive measures for the type 1 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes can often be prevented by a person being normal body weight and regular physical exercises. Coming to the management of diabetes. Diabetes is a chronic disease for which there is no known cure except in very rare situations. And management concentrates on keeping blood sugar levels as close as to the normal blood sugar levels. That is called euglycemia, but without causing hypoglycemia. And this can usually be accomplished with proper diet and exercises and use of appropriate medications. For example, in case of type 1 diabetes, use of insulin, and in case of type 2 diabetes, oral medications as well as insulin if needed. And the other factors which may increase the complications due to diabetes are smoking, obesity, high blood pressure, and elevated blood cholesterol levels, and also lack of exercises. And specialized footwear is widely used to reduce the risk of ulceration of foot. Next, coming to the diabetic emergencies. And people usually with type 1 diabetes may experience the episodes of diabetic ketoacidosis, and it is a type of metabolic problem characterized by nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and the smell of acetone on the breath. The deep breathing is also called as kusumal breathing, and in severe cases, a decreased level of consciousness may occur. And another severe complications but this is usually with type 2 diabetes hyperosmolar non-ketotic state. This is mainly due to result of dehydration. Coming to the treatment of diabetes, this is mainly focused on the reducing blood sugar levels. And there are several classes of type 2 diabetes medicines exist, and each works in different way to reduce the blood sugar levels, stimulating the pancreas to produce and release more insulin, and the medicine may inhibit the production and release of glucose from the liver, and they may blocking the action of stomach enzymes that break down carbohydrates. I am giving some examples of oral medications. These are biguanides, for example metformin, fenformin and buformins. Then sulfonylureas. These are glimepiride, glyburide, glipizide. Then glinides, example natiglanide, rebaglanide. Then coming to the management for the type 1 diabetes, in most of the cases they may need insulin injections. Insulin must be injected in case of the type 1 diabetes, because if it were taken orally in the form of tablet, it would be broken down in your stomach just like food and would be unable to enter your bloodstream. So it must be injected. That's all about diabetes. I hope you enjoyed this program. Thanks for watching. See you with another topic in the next episode. Till then, take care.